Right, so we're here this afternoon with Robert, and he is from Vytocor. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, Vytocor Web Solutions.
Yeah. And so he's in a space that a lot of business owners don't know much about, but they all need good web resources because digital media is such an important part of doing any business these days, whether you're a retail store or whether you're a manufacturing business. Digital media is such a critical component, especially with the younger generation coming through who don't know any different other than looking at their phones and reading through social media. So tell us a bit about yourself, Robert, how you got to where you are and the business that you're in and what services you provide. I'd love to know what challenges you face every day too.
Great. So I am Robert Harris. I am the founder and lead design strategist of Vytocor Web Solutions. We serve as a Memphis-based creative design agency. We operate in a business-to-business space. We also work with a limited number of individual business-to-consumer clients as well. And ultimately, we provide design-centric resources that are used to implement in the marketing strategies and campaigns that companies would push out to the public. So we specifically provide those design resources, whether it be web design projects, graphic design in a number of areas, print design, graphic spaces that are utilized for social media, for implementation, guerrilla marketing. So anything related to the visual side of that, those are the things that we provide.
So is it, do you do more like branding as well as, simple product promotion? Is it sort of across the board?
Yes. So we do offer a number of branding focused services. Obviously, from developing the brand identity from a visual perspective, not only from a visual perspective, but also from a strategic space. What is the brand's voice going to be? What are the guidelines that the company must adhere to when creating items for the specific brand? So all of those things that are in line with building the company's persona, not just from a digital perspective, from a print perspective as well.
Is there a particular type of business you like to work with? Is it just, is it like startups? Is it just storefronts or manufacturers? Is there a particular niche that you look for?
So initially we started out working with pretty much anyone that needed services. Obviously, most businesses tend to start, well, those that are in our industry, they tend to start out that way. The niching down or focusing on a particular industry or a particular type of client would obviously come down the line. And we have gotten to that space now. As I said, we tend to work more so with B2B. And our clients pretty much range from a good spectrum of industries, but we would preferably like to work with clients that operate within a certain volume as it relates to business. So there are some special cases that we take on, some smaller clients, and obviously I think somewhere down the line in this interview, I'd maybe speak to that a little more as to why that is extremely important to not negate or avoid those smaller businesses. They are extremely important as well.
Yeah. I think it's, like you said, a lot of marketing businesses, advertising business start out with a broad stroke and then sort of define their specialty as it comes along, because there are so many different aspects these days to advertising and marketing. It's not something you can just narrow down and say, yeah, this is, we do everything, because there's so many different aspects. It's hard to be a specialist in all those different areas.
Yes, and that has been something that most most agencies in our line of work, they will tend to struggle with. You know, they come in contact with clients that would inquire, hey, do you offer this? Do you offer this? Do you offer this? And as a startup company or a company in its earlier stages, it's very rare that you want to tell a client, no, you don't offer a particular service. But over time, I've come to learn that it is extremely important to be specific in your service offerings.
Yeah.
And a company is more inclined to work with you when they know that you're a specialist in a particular area.
Yes.
And so in that instance, we've been encouraged to expand our service offerings, but we refuse to because we want to stay specifically within the design and limited print space.
So in the business you're in, though, there has to be a continuity in the branding and in the messaging that goes out. So do you recommend the people that you work with take when they're in need of a service you're not offering, that they communicate with you so that there is that continuation of that branding? Because everyone's going to come to the table with different ideas.
Right.
You know, but if you work with somebody to establish a brand through the web and through their social media, you know, somebody else comes along and says, oh no, I don't want to do this, and this. You can dilute the brand. So how do you overcome that?
So I've learned that it's extremely important to become a master at establishing and cultivating relationships.
Yeah.
And we have a client here in the Memphis area. His name is Charles Ewing. He runs a moving company called Ewing Moving and Storage.
Yeah.
And he would always express to me how integral it is to form partnerships.
Yeah.
You know, because ultimately those partnerships would be your lifeline to get you through those difficult times in business overall.
Right.
You know, and so that principle stuck with me over time. And we really pushed into a space of evaluating how we interact with not only customers but just random strangers daily. And so I make it's almost part of my daily religion to build partnerships and to build solid partnerships at that. And so when there's a service that we may not provide, I have built relationships with other service providers in areas that parallel our business.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be social media, photography, videography, search engine
Copywriting and stuff
optimization.
like that.
Yes, all of those.
Yeah.
And so those things are closely tied to the services that we provide.
Yeah.
And so I've built relationships with other business owners in those industries that specialize in those particular spaces. And so when we have customers that reach out to us, or if we've provided a certain service to a customer and they're inquiring about a service that would ultimately be compounded with what we offer, I would simply refer them to that strategic partner. And that has worked out extremely well over time. And in return, those partners do the same. You know, the partners that may provide social media, but may not necessarily be strong in the visual side of social media content.
Yeah.
This partner would then in turn refer the client to us. We'd work hand in hand with the social media strategist to develop an overall campaign that works well for the client. And I think everyone ultimately wins in the end.
Absolutely so, because, you know, it allows you to become a specialist in your field, but at the same time still offer to your clients the resources that need to be successful without them having to go out and find their own people.
Right. And what that does is it further affirms in the client's mind that you are that go-to person whenever they're needing a service provided.
Yeah.
You know, it serves as an insurance policy, and it builds the trust with the client and their team.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm a business coach. You know, that's what I do for a living. You know, that's it. But you know, my clients may be working towards selling their business, so I have a partnership with a business broker, and
Nice.
they might want something to do with accelerating sales. So have a
Mhm.
partnership with somebody who specializes in that field. And
Nice.
so, that way, I'm allowed to be the best coach that I can be, and I'm not
Yes.
misleading my clients into thinking that I'm good at business brokering or accelerating the sales part, but I've got
Right.
the resources that allow me to bring somebody to the table to deal with those areas. And so what you're talking about, I think, is the old days of the advertising agencies has been a humongous worldwide global brands,
Yes.
where they did everything. And how that situation's changed in your business
Mhm.
over the last 20 years. It's much more of a boutique
Yes.
specialist type places now. The larger brand, even the bigger brands are splitting up their work into multiple places,
Right.
because each one is now becoming accredited as its own specialty.
Yes, and I've learned that the typical client tends to appreciate and respect the transparency there when you're upfront with them and say, "Hey, this is what we specialize in. This is what we're committed to. I can guarantee you that if you work with us on in this particular area, that we will give you the greatest quality of work."
Right.
We choose not to step outside of these bounds because we want to make sure that we are fully knowledgeable, very much so capable skill wise in terms of providing the particular service in this area.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So how can people find out more about you and contact you?
People can contact us via web. Obviously, we specialize in web design, and so
Yeah.
we would love for you to visit us at our website, vitocor.com. And we are slated to launch a new and improved version of our website September 15th of this year. Our company originally started back in September of 2012, and so we only saw it to be fit to launch a brand new site in
Nice.
September of this year. And
Yeah.
so we have some amazing features that will be offered on the new site. Clients will have the ability to not only to design their own, but build their own products
Oh,
and place the orders, and we would create those things for them, ship them out to them, and so it's going to work out extremely well. And
fantastic.
we're relying on those newer technologies to create and bring new ideas to clients, and
Yeah.
so I'm extremely excited about it.
It's always interesting because there's a tendency for people to underplay websites these days, with all the other social things that
Yes.
go on, and yet there's still the face of your business. And I had a business that had marketing software, and it was always interesting that, well, my nephew builds websites, or I know something. It's like, maybe they do, but do they actually know what the messaging is and what that's all about? And but I think is it 6 or 8 seconds you have to make an impression on somebody on your
Yes.
homepage? And so, your messaging really has to be there. Otherwise, they're going to be going on to the next website
Yeah.
and totally skip over yours.
And in today's time, your website so much serves as your online resume.
Yes.
And so it is important, as you said, with your website being essentially the face of your company or the initial impression of your company. It is extremely important that you don't sacrifice functionality, you don't sacrifice aesthetics, and I think that's one of the things that really sets us apart from other agencies.
Okay.
We've had clients that would come to us and say that an agency told them that it's better to focus on the functionality or not so much on the visual side of things, because if you want to rank well, or you want to, you want search bots to really agree with how the site is built based on the sitemap. And
Yeah.
so we've learned that you don't have to, we tell clients this all the time, you don't have to sacrifice functionality, and you don't have to sacrifice a good looking website to
Right.
achieve the other, and so finding that solid midpoint has
Yeah.
been a huge plus for us. And
Yeah.
it is, yes.
It's the message. It's as a company, what problem do you solve?
Yes, yes.
You know, that's the first thing people want to know. They don't want to know that, you know, it was your grandparents' business, you've been around since 1980, you know, whatever, you know, that sort of information, you know, you can bury that somewhere because nobody's ever going to read it. You know, what they
Right.
really want to know is, can you solve my problem? You know, when I'm looking,
And
what I'm looking for, you know, is I need the best coffee cup in the planet. And so, because my coffee keeps going cold, you know, does your website say that your product, your coffee cup, does that? You know, it's that the messaging, and you know, you can put as many fancy visuals and things as you want in it, but at the end of the day, people want to know what you do, why, and why they should buy from you, no matter
yes,
what that is.
and as you spoke about earlier, there's been such a traditional way of operating, and I know specifically in the design and marketing industry, and that way of operating is now being pushed out of the room.
Yeah,
You know, and we are in a space now, along with a company's ability to provide quality work. Customers are now sold on the company's intentions and their values,
yes,
you know, and how devoted are you to, as you said, solve a client's problem,
yeah.
you know, and being solution driven, being optimistic in your ability to get the client over that hump is going to be the make or break in
Yeah.
terms of you working with companies these days.
I think your role, I don't know if you agree or not, but your role is as much as a mediator between your client and their vision of what the website should be, and
Yes.
the reality of what it needs to be, because there's a tendency for clients to want to over explain and overdo that content, and they,
Yes.
you know, you put I would assume you put yourself in the position of their customer. And so, as their customer, when I arrive at the website, what is it that I want? What is it I'm looking for? What's the first thing I'm going to see that's going to grab me and draw me in to look at the rest of the stuff? And
Yes.
eventually get down to the fact that your grandfather started the business, you know. And
Yeah, and from a strategic perspective, it's also our job to diagnose exactly what the problem is for the client, as opposed to telling them what they need or just agreeing with what the client may say that they need. You
like,
know, some clients may come to you and their projects may not need as much work under the hood as they would assume, you know, and most times there could be a simple solution to their problem, as I said, to help them get over that hump to ultimately achieve what they're trying to achieve, to get closer to their customers,
yeah,
you know. And so we first try to diagnose and find out honestly if we're really needed in this entire process. And once we make that connection, and then it's time for us to say, okay, these are the things that we suggest in order to solve the issues that you seem to have based on the pain points that you've given us.
so it's a consultative approach to the
Yes, yes, yes. Gone are the days to where we're attempting to sell a customer something that they don't need,
yeah,
you know, and that only leads to buyer's remorse.
yes,
And at the end of the day, when we're done with the client, we want them to be extremely satisfied and to feel extremely motivated by the new product that they have, because that allows them to move into a space to where they're excited to push their business forward. And
yeah.
ultimately, that's how our company continues to
Yes,
strive.
right. That's good. Well, thank you so much for the time, Robert. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and you have such an enthusiasm and passion for your work that it just comes through. So, and that's such an important attribute for any business owner, is to maintain that passion and passion to help people. And effectively, that's what you're doing. You're helping businesses prosper, and coming at it with that positive attitude is fantastic. So, thank you so much for your time, and I'll look forward to talking to you again.
I would definitely like to thank you, Keith. And I think you guys are doing a great thing with Action Coach.
Yeah.
And I would definitely suggest anyone. I didn't have a coach when we initially started the company.
Yeah.
And so I would suggest anyone to go down that path of speaking with someone that could help them propel a business into a space of scalability.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed sharing any sort of tips. Hopefully, the gems that I've given are helpful to anyone that may be starting a business in the future.
I definitely think they are. And thank you very much for that. And I didn't pay you for that either. Thank you so much, Robert. It's a pleasure. Have a good
Thank you,
weekend.
Keith. You do the same. Thank you.
Bye.